to pass the floor.
Well, thank you, Mr. Volkanov, for inviting me. I would like to emphasize that me and Sigurd, we are also friends, so we can also have some exchange interesting. In general, when I was, well, this is not my first time I'm here in the panel. There were times when I was a student like you. I even moderated Mr. Lukian when he was speaking about South Caucasia. And I remember you a few years ago saying that Georgia is lost. So no more transformations, because it was so obvious, so mainstream to say that Georgia is pro-Western, that's all. It's like an imminent variety. And I remember my position since that was always the same. You underestimate Georgian society, because Georgian society is all open now. So we've gone through so many empires, revolutions, wars, and every time Georgian society was looking for something new, something interesting. And here we are, after 10 years since I started participating in this conference, at the moment of truth. It's such intriguing case. So finally my words are true, that Georgian government is relying on Georgian society. We should be clear about this. Georgia as a country, when we say that Georgia is one of the most democratic and post-Soviet states, we don't mean what the Europeans mean. We mean here that Georgia is not top-bottom system. It's not like intelligentsia coming to Georgian waters, the government saying, today we're going to the West. Tomorrow we're going to Russia. And this is something that our American colleagues are afraid. Because every year, the role of regular Georgians is becoming stronger. Now the Georgian government, when it comes to Kakheti region, every single region, or for Tumor-Neuli, where Azerbaijanians live, or to Permo-Kartli, somewhere, Archil, they must ask, what do you want? Would you want us, and what do you expect? And that's why the Georgian government is forced by its voters to finally say that our ideological preferences clash with the reality. And the reality is very complicated. You probably know, we have the whole concept of Europeans. There are so many articles, especially written by my fellow colleagues like Cornelio Kukachia, Lebanese, who are Western-oriented, who supported the idea of the total turn to the West. They brought the concept of Europeans based on Zurab Zhvanya's statements, I am Georgian, therefore I'm European from 1989, and they said that the Georgian society initially is value-based. We ask ourselves who we are and where we're going. And the answer after the Rose Revolution in 2003 was very clear. We are going to the West. And we expected that the West will, by the end of the day, push Russia to give us Abkhazia, Tskhinvali region, will become members of the NATO and so on and so forth. That's why Turkey was so important for us. Because in Georgian narrative, it's not about cutting pounds. No one actually speaks about it. It's about bordering NATO member. It's about bordering those supranational entities that we would like to become member of. But what happened? In 2008, we lost another war. And there was a huge stress for Georgian society. Because Georgian society realized that not all Western ideology follows reality. And that we are forced to apply some reality to our ideology. And the Georgian Dream was elected in 2012. And I would like just to remind you, this is the only period when Georgia had a period of peace. The last 12 years were the years without revolutions, overthrows, and wars. And Georgian society had actually time to sit down and think, so how should I behave to be financially rich? What should I say to finally bring and maintain this peace? For people like me and older, peace is not a given. It was just reached yesterday. And that's why Georgians feel so comfortably before the election, because they know that those who are 35 plus, they are not politically motivated, they think in this way. We have Georgian Dream. It has some clash with the West, but what it offers us is stability, peace, and balance. So we finally can trade with Russia, go to Iran, consider Turkey not go as a NATO member state, but as the rich cultural economy, Armenia not as the backyard of Russia, but rather as a friend, a close ally, and Azerbaijan not as a replacement for Russia, but as a country that provides our energy security. This has never been proclaimed officially. On the other hand, we have a position who said that we will expel all Russians, tourists from territory of Georgia. It's 1 million people. Can you imagine what's going to happen if we expel all of them? I mean, the tourist part of Georgia will collapse. These people say we will join all these sanctions against Russian Federation. They know that this will hurt 90% of Georgian civilians. So actually, what I always say, it's not about choosing between the West and the East. It's about choosing being finally pragmatic versus being ideologically driven. That is, Georgia cannot afford any more. I would like to emphasize any more. After the Rose Revolution, I also was supporting it. We really believe that there was a gap for Georgia to as we say, to run to this West integration train, but it's over. We finally understand that now we are in a region where we should be active. We cannot rely on our Western colleagues anymore because they have no relevant agenda. And this is something very interesting. And I feel really pity because, I mean, I wrote on Francis Fukuyama books, on the books of, I don't know, like Robert Legwood, Bob Law, all these people promoting nurtured diplomacy, really interesting theories of Archil. Now we have American scholars who come to Georgia as some backyard of the Western interests and saying that you should not speak with Russia, you should not trade with Iran, you should only trade with those troops that you like. Armenia is good now because they are now pro-Western. Azerbaijan we don't like anymore, and you should just simply sit down and wait till we'll win the war, and then we'll tell you what to do next. This agenda, well, first of all, no one should expected this, and as my colleague Nicholas Larpot said, Georgian dream was forced because till 2022 they all cherished this policy, and at some point they came and said, now we will bring you relevant agenda for you, and you will follow. That's all. So that is why, to summarize, on the one hand, thanks to our Western colleagues, the Georgian society was nurtured. They started to ask themselves, where are we going? What do you want from us, and what we would like to do? And I think that people it's very interesting that the people from higher generation, they are totally pro-Western. But my generation became highly skeptical, not pro-Russian, but we are the counter-reaction on the reaction of Soviet Union. So after the Soviet Union, we had this post-Soviet elite that were radically pro-Western, and my generation is the counter-reaction on this radical pro-Western ideas. People who are coming education in the West, like Harvard, Cambridge, who said that, wait a minute, even the Western countries are not the Western, so let's debate. And that's what's happening. And I would be really glad if we finally, when we speak about Georgia, and I need to bring the best quote that was expressed by Georgian politicians for the last 10 years. It was said by chairman of Georgian parliament, Shalom Papouashvili. I mean, every day some American congressman that doesn't know where Georgia comes out, says that Georgia is and something bad, and he came out and said, you know what? I don't understand why some people think that coming to Georgia, eating 2 hingari and drinking Georgia wine is enough to become expert in Georgia. I mean, we are small, but we are very deep. And he said that I'm not going to comment on some, let's say, bullshit, or from people who don't even understand. And he said, we expect from American colleagues to show the level that was previously. And this is the one reason. And the second reason why Georgia is not turning its back, once again, I really like the term used by Nicholas Larpot, is that the West turning back on the Georgia that they're going through the transformation. It is the irrelevancy of the modern Western agenda. When you come, country Georgia, let's say, in a country where 86% are Orthodox Christians, 10% are Azerbaijani Muslims, the Georgian Muslims. They are really, really believers. It's not just words. And you come to them and say that we have three agendas: LGBTQI pride, we have women's rights, we have like you should abandon church as a strong institution. I have only one question: do you know where you came? I mean, like, it is Georgia. And now I probably met the American ambassador. Unfortunately, they have no answers. The last events of protests, the so-called Russian law, they have no answers. They have only political propaganda, only talks, no arguments, and they close all meetings because once you ask them a serious question based on their own theories, they have no answers. And that is why Georgian dream feels strong, not because it's initially is called by Putin and Putin tells him go to west, go to east, but because Georgian dream know that if you go to Caucasus region and you ask, so would you like us to expel Russian tourists? Would you like us to wait to send people to Ukraine? They'll say no, we'd like to trade with Russia. We'd like to trade with Iran, Turkey, Azerbaijan. That is what is in demand. So the reason why no one expected, especially I people know in America and Russia, because usually we used to look at Georgia like, okay, it's lost, and I hear this even the last year during Gorchakov readings, it's not lost. Georgia is developing country, is a society, is nurturing itself, and I would be really glad if we can make additional meetings to speak about the internal process that we have. And one issue nowadays, Georgia is also attached to Armenia. I mean, all those people who are now in Armenia developing democracy, I think my colleagues will agree with me, they take the example from Georgia. I mean, every time I look at what they're doing, and lots of Georgian freedom fighters went to Armenia, they have like all this democracy promotion lesson there. They do step by step the same that I experienced when I was a student in Georgia. Almost the same, narrative the same, and we were joking in Georgia that they call Pashtuns like minor Saakashvili. So I always advise my colleagues in Armenia to just read the modern history of Georgia, political history, and you can avoid so many mistakes that Georgians made. Thank you.